Oh, there they are. I've been looking for those. Welcome back to the garden in almost the middle of May. It's been an absolutely strange year. I don't know what it's been like where you are. So we're in the northeast of England. Strange year weather-wise. In fact, strange year probably is true all round. Weather-wise, we had some really nice hot days earlier on in the year, and at the moment the air is absolutely freezing. It's just ridiculous. It's been, if you're in the sun, it's okay. As soon as you head into the shade, it's like being in a totally different climate. It's absolutely freezing. And we literally had hailstorms a couple of days ago that ended up like up against the back wall of the house. It looked like a sort of a snowdrift or something. Couldn't believe it. So middle of May and we're having hailstorms, which I'm so pleased that I don't have the tender crops out just yet. I was thinking about it, but didn't get around to it, so that's just as well. We've also had frost on mornings still. It's just ridiculous. Normally our last frost really would be at the end of April, but Stephen reminded me one year we had, I can't remember what blossom it was because it was at the end of May and I thought it was apple, but that's too late for the apple blossom. Anyway, point being, we had a really bad frost at the end of May and it took a load of stuff. So we're going to have a walk around the garden. If you're interested in seeing that, then please do stick around. A general chat about how things are going. It's that time of year, isn't it, where there's so much to do, but you're not reaping the rewards of it just yet. Maybe still reaping rewards of last year's planting though, so I'm going to show you some of those as well. But more importantly, or as more of an update, should I say, it's been back. Now, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about, and looking at this bed, you can't tell. But we recently have had quite a bit of damage for what we now know to be rabbits. It came in again the other night. I walked over, came in here, wandered round and stood literally there, stood still, bloomin' rabbit in this bed, digging, having the whale of a time. So what's in this bed is just radish, which is the little seedlings that you can see there, so they're coming through because they're nice and quick at growing and we can just use those daily. But I'm doing a calendula bed and I'll talk about that, why I'm doing that in a minute. Didn't want to give over a big bed to calendula this year, so I put some in, you know, as you do, spent some good time doing them. That'll look nice, that'll fill the bed, not putting too many in, not too little, etc, etc. And then bloomin' rabbit came in, dug it all up. There was just piles. I think I actually got a video or a photo, so either way I'll overlay it here. I was fuming. Anyways, bloomin' thing ended up going round. That's why all of this stuff is out here. And it was going under holes here, actually. I can still see a hole there that it might be able to get into. Stephen, bless him, was doing something else, came straight out and added all of this wood here and round the back of this little Wendy house. Because you can't see from where we're going now, but around the back of there's a hole that they've been using to run on the other side. And then if you've watched us before, you'll know that on the other side of there, that's where we actually saw the rabbit. So we knew it had been in. Through that side, but we hadn't actually seen it physically on this side. Anyway, it was only a little thing, thankfully, so it hadn't caused as much damage as if it was a bigger thing. So what I ended up doing was getting calendula that had self-sown from the bed that we had it in last year, and replanting it. So I'm going to get a little bit more of that done today so that this bed can thrive with the calendula. The reason I'm actually growing calendula is, I think as I'm getting older, I'm becoming more interested in plants that are useful, as well as obviously looking pretty in the garden. Calendula is one of those staple crops that you can do all sorts of old traditional recipes with. I don't mean necessarily food recipes that you will consume. So from, you know, skincare and all the different bits and pieces that you can do with it, infused oil, drying it. You can use it in teas and things like that. Though as much as I've tried over the years to become a lover of herbal teas, it's still something that I have to force myself to do. However, after the last couple of winters that I've had with different issues to do with sort of dryness and throat and dry skin, dry throat, this, that and the other, it was one of the things that I thought, do you know what, I'm going to give it a go. It's only a small bed. It's got the radish in there as well that we will absolutely use. So even if it ends up just looking pretty and doesn't do anything that's going to be able to help me, it's not a big loss at the end of the day. So calendula and radish in that bed, and no rabbit, hopefully. The trees that have blossomed, so this is a discovery apple tree. You can see the blossom has now turned back, and that are left us, and that is turning into the little apples. Absolutely plenty of those starting to come, so I would expect probably a bit later this year, because of it feels as though things are quite behind. Once we get into seeing all of the apples appear, we'll get the June drop, where it'll just release the ones that it's kind of basically decided it's not going to take on, and then we'll hopefully have a nice harvest of apples from this tree and all of these ones behind. So there's one behind this Wendy house here, just because that's the way it ended up. This one here, this apple tree actually didn't make the move, so we did move a lot of trees over the last couple of years as we made changes to the vegetable plot. That, unfortunately, that one didn't survive. And then this one here is another one of the babies as well. So these are different eating and cooking apples. But if I take a step back without falling over Tracy, these ones here, they are cookers. All in the other side of this gate where we keep the chickens are all ancient apple trees. They are literally fantastic. Sorry, I said the cookers. That's a cooker. That is actually an eating one. But the others are cooking apples, and they produce fantastically every year. So thrilled to bits with those. And then there's other work that we need to get done in here. So these trees, obviously, we took the tops off because they were like this, and just provided too much shade. And obviously the leaves, etc. in here, it was too much. We left as many as we could, but the ones that we needed to, obviously we've took the tops off to allow us to create the little vegetable garden extension that we've put on over the last couple of years. They are doing what they do and continuing to try and grow. So when they're this size, it's not a problem. But if you can see over here, we didn't get to these ones last year. This was all cut up the side as well. These were nowhere near the length they are now. So what we're going to have to do is basically take the side branches off. This is not a today job, by the way. This is just in general. Take the side branches off just to sort of reduce the foliage against the fence, but then keep the privacy up above there. And also the ones that are coming through as suckers from underneath for the trees on the other side. Get all that tidied up. Now this here is either chokeberry or josterberry. I always get them the wrong way around. But that too is starting to come on, which is fantastic, because if you remember, I did think it was dead because these branches here, they didn't survive the move. So thankfully the other half of it did, basically. So it's all over the place, sprawling. I didn't want to cut it back because, as I say, I wasn't sure if it was dead or not. And I thought if I cut it back and I shock it even more, then it's definitely going to give up on me. This is a plum tree that we have just recently put in because it was one of the other trees that didn't survive. We thought it was dead, to be quite honest, when we put it in, the previous tree, but wanted to give it a chance. We had it all in last year, didn't come back. So this plum tree here was what we replaced it with to match this plum tree, so they can be friends. I don't think they're needed for pollination, but at least they're next to each other. And I think it's nice for things to always be next to each other and have friends. So next to this plum tree, this bed here, for similar reasons to the calendula bed, has got chamomile in it, which I thought had not been successful because of all of the frosts. But you can see, Mr. Cockerell agrees, you can see that it's starting to come through. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a super productive chamomile bed, harping back to the reasons that I've just said for winter use. Something I've never bothered with before, but as I say, it seems to be a recurring theme that I'm struggling with each winter. So I'm hoping that these two beds here will help me through next winter, and then if I don't get it, they can just sit in the jars and all will be well. Now this bed here suffered the rabbit as well. So we have got just a few lettuce that we put in. So already further on there was 5, but can you see, I think you can still see its blooming footprints, taking it out the middle. So that one is clinging on for dear life, but also all of these little seedlings that you can see there, they're all different salad leaves as well. So hopefully this bed, the idea is that it will become basically a cut and come again salad bed. I did put spring onions all around the edges, which I'm looking, it's hard to see because of all the leaf and foliage as well. I don't see a single spring onion. Or maybe, is that maybe? Not sure. Bunching onions actually, so we shall see, we'll see. But anyway, the idea of this bed is that it's got the shade off this tree, which is a pear tree, so you can actually see the pears coming on lovely there. There's I'll go along the branch, you can see Now I'll tell you about the pear trees in a minute, but hopefully this bed, basically in the shade of the pear tree, will be a cut and come again salad bed, instead of me trying to do it in one of the big beds and ending up with far too much salad. I've tried to restrain myself this year. I will have spinach in a different bed too, but that's more of a kind of winter thing. We'll go through the lettuce first, and yeah, trying to be sensible on volume that I'm growing at the moment. That's really important. Now these pear trees, I'm wobbling all over the place there, have got fantastic fruit on them. There's another couple that I'll show you. Every year though, we literally watch them grow. Oh my goodness, they're doing fantastic. Right, as soon as they're ready to harvest, we're going to get them. We come out to harvest them, and overnight, I kid you not, overnight, they all go. And one year we joked on saying, is our neighbour taking them? Because, like, you know, we got on very well with him. It's not him. And we think, how the heck is that? Like, surely it's not an animal, because they literally went overnight. They weren't on the floor. No idea. Some people were saying, is it the squirrel? So yeah, I think this year we're going to have to get in there and harvest them before whatever it is harvesting them. Next to the pear tree is this absolutely ginormous cherry tree, which did split down the middle in a previous year because of the weight of it. And every year, so can you see that awful looking poor thing? Do you know, I'm saying it's awful looking, it's done so well at repairing itself. I'm so proud of it. Every year we forget that you need to do the cherry tree basically just after the harvest, kind of end of August, that I'll be looking to. And then we remember in the winter, I mention it on here and everyone says, you can't do it now. And I'm like, oh my goodness, we always forget. So really, really, really need to get this topped and tidied up this year. As absolutely amazing as it is, it's too big. It's in the way of a lot of other things. I'd like to get it tidied up. To be honest though, we kind of don't want to mess with it while it's self-healing. It's doing such a good job. We didn't end up putting anything on there, and we just tied it up so that it kind of just literally got stuck back together. So pleased with that. Next to it is this, the other pear tree that I was referring to. So this has been in for a good while now as well. These were just from Aldi, I think, and the cherry tree in the middle. So originally none of this was here. This was all just turned over to basically what's on the other side of the fence where the chickens are. It was exactly the same. So there was a couple of things in this. I think this is called deer tongue. Is that right? And the lovage, which, oh my goodness, that lovage is just a bit like Jerusalem artichokes. Always comes back even when you ask it not to. We're just here with a few other things, and we replaced it with originally the 3 fruit trees first, and then obviously ended up doing the whole beds at the back there as well. And these have done fantastically, so big up to Aldi fruit trees. Now if we go back through here, I can show you these beetroot, which, bit of a disaster with these as well. I put these in a couple of weeks ago. Oh, trying to get past the pear tree, sorry, pear tree. Put these in a couple of weeks ago. So proud of them. They look fantastic. They were coming on lovely. Literally the same day that I put them in. Watered them, came back out on the afternoon, on the evening, and a flipping chicken had got in. So if it's not the rabbit, it's the chickens. And you can still see, watch the shadow, you can still see the consequences of it where they'd kicked up. In fact, I don't know what that is. That might be number 3 that we're contending with. And it had taken out the beetroot, this one here. So it had a go at that, and there was 1, 2 there as well, and it's taken those out. And I literally, this is where me, as a result of just giving up, I threw that down, went in a huff and went in the house and said, that's it, I'm giving up. Of course, that was just a reaction at the time. I was gutted, absolutely gutted. However, with the rain that we've had, even though I've been complaining about it, and then the sun in between, seems to actually be doing quite well. So I'm going to get more beetroot sown, but we're going to direct sow in here. And now, I guess, hope that whatever's made that hole doesn't eat them. Always something. And this bed here is another bed that the rabbit had a pop at. You can see it's actually still as was, because I didn't rake this back over. I couldn't remember what these, let me show you what these seeds were, and I'm not bothered about taking it out because I since know that it is lovage seeds from the absolutely huge lovage plant. Oh my goodness. That's the neighbourhood cat. Sorry, you didn't want to see that. Anyway, I'll take care of that in a second. Those seeds are off this, so you can see that's the the seedling that I've just shown you, that's the adult leaf of it. I had dill in the back of here, parsley and coriander, and then a tarragon plant just there in the corner, which seems to have survived. None of the seeds that I put in have come up, and all of the lovage seeds have come up. So I'm going to have to redo this bed, I think. Maybe get them started off in modules. I'm wondering if that's the cat then, because I didn't see the rabbit in this bed. I wonder if the cat's digging. Maybe the cat's chasing whatever's in that bloomin' hole. Anyway, this is mulberry, and it actually seems to be doing okay. I did wonder if it was struggling because it's nowhere near as far on greenery wise as any of the other trees. So I have no experience with mulberry, but it's alive, so we'll take that. We'll go from there. And then this here is another, that's another currant bush, I believe. I can never remember till they start going. Well, it's definitely currant bush, it's just what type. So we've got joster, chokeberry, and I think that might just be blackcurrant. I'll show you the other currants in a moment. Anyway, so all of this is doing really well. As I say, going to get some of these trimmed back for the foliage. You see the cows in the distance enjoying the sun, which has just come out for you. So let's go and have a look at the rest of the plot. Oh, first of all though, this is a quince tree that I got for Mother's Day this year, for Easter this year, which, oh my goodness, the blossoms on it were absolutely fantastic. I've no idea if we'll get fruit off it this year. I'm presuming so because of the blossoms, but there's one. But that's already, won't get one of that now then, will we? On there. This is what I'm wondering, if the frost has caused problems, because we've had some really hard frost, as I said. So yeah, there's quite a few actually now. I've got my eye in, so to speak. I'm going to be really gentle. Flies just landed on my finger. Yeah, hopefully that's quite secure. Obviously the one I first touched wasn't secure. So only the strongest survive, I guess. Valerian, different herb again, for different medicinal properties, which, as I say, getting more into for various reasons. This rosemary we thought was dead after the move again, but it seems to have brought with it some apple mint, which of course won't die because it's mint. Although having said that, I have killed mint a few times rather successfully when I've been trying to grow it. So half of this rosemary did die, so we need to get that taken down again. Not a priority, but the other bit seems to be doing well. And as I say, my plan is to kind of reproduce from this just in case it does, it does croak it basically. A bit like the bay tree, which I did tell you the other day, seemed to be coming back, but I might have to take that back. This got severely chopped back because of the move. Yeah, I might take that back. I don't know if that's going to survive or not. Apple trees, as I said. And then this here is lemon balm, which of course in the mint family, that is quite happy coming back every year in that pot. And that again, medicinal values, or herbal medicinal values. It's funny because when you go on YouTube and sort of put in content that you're going to think about doing, it says, you have to tell people that you're not a doctor. Don't be giving out health advice and things like that. And I'm thinking, who's going to look at me and think, oh, she's a doctor, I'm going to listen to her health advice. So every night I've been coming out and doing different bits and pieces, weeding and getting different seeds in and things. So this bed here, as you can see, the onions have thankfully completely thrived in this bed. I'm looking, it looks as though a blooming mole has been under there though. So I was in here, weeded the other night. I've got some other sets that are, not sets, I've got some grown from seed onions that are going to go in the bottom of this bed as well. So a successful crop, hopefully, fingers crossed. And then behind me, we've got the garlic, which, again, as you know, is from last year's that didn't work, but has decided to grow this year. So I've said I'm going to leave it in. And funny, a couple of you have been in touch to say exactly the same thing has happened to you. So no idea why that is, but we'll take what we can get. So if we get a crop, fantastic. Clearly this bed's not being weeded. That's on the to-do list, as is this one, which has got garlic and brassicas in, both of those. Just different, basically collared type brassicas, some more Savoy type, and then there's a red kale over there. So be able to continue getting harvest off those for quite a while. And this is the other bed that has been weeded. However, one of today's jobs is to take the rest of the spinach out the back of it, which has been feeding all the different animals. It's been feeding the pigs and the chickens, I should say, mostly, because it's got quite high values of oxalic acid in it to give any little animals or any of the goats or anything. So I tend to avoid that. Chickens don't, they just pick bits and pieces, so even though they're little, they don't tend to consume very much. So here, brassicas, these are stem broccoli, so they're going to be in there. I've got 2 spare that I didn't manage to get in, but once the spinach comes out, I'll be able to work further along that bed and get other things in. That's obviously been weeded as well. And then behind me, both of these beds will be for onions. This will be getting planted very soon, but also has got shallots in it. Clearly, one of them just doesn't want to. It's got a bit of green in. Don't know if you can see that there. But yeah, just doesn't want to make it. And if you're wondering what this bed compost is, because it's super dry, this is just literally our old bedding that's composted down, but it is very dry on the top. But underneath, that's that's really damp underneath there, so they should be still getting all of the nutrients that they need, but the wind and the sun soon dries out the top of this. Every year we do try and top up the beds. I'll show you some that haven't been done last year and you'll be able to see the difference just using, this is animal bedding, peelings and just things from the garden. So we obviously try and buy as little compost as possible, but for actually putting the seeds in, etc., and for the pots that we then move them onto, we do use shop bought compost for that. Ideally, we'd just use what's here, but it's never kind of got to the point where it's fine enough. We always get it on the beds by the winter, and that uses it all up, to be honest. This here is the absolutely phenomenal rhubarb patch. We have 2. Why would you create another one when you've clearly got enough here? Well, just love rhubarb. I just love how it grows. It's not even just about the taste, it's just how it grows. It's such a reliable crop every year. Although I know some of you do say, mine just won't take. I've never known that with rhubarb, to be honest. Steve's in the shed making some stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute, if you can hear him. But yeah, it's fantastic. One of those crops that's just rooted in the history of, I remember all through the family, rhubarb has always been part of something that we have had as a family, either grown or something that's been available when you see it in the kitchen growing up. So love rhubarb. We might be competing with noise from the shed. Stephen's putting some shelves up in there at the moment. These are all the currant bushes, which literally so this is the height that I am, and about a foot down, so that's about 4.5 foot. That's how tall I would say these are now. Doing fantastic. Stephen was in here the other day weeding everything, and the same on this side, which is the gooseberry beds, and mulched it, and that mulch is now starting to settle down. Raspberry canes are coming through the mulch, which in case people were wondering if they would be able to, raspberry canes will get anywhere. I still need to get in there and take down these ones that, well, I say take them down, but we thought that would be it for these, but they're actually producing. So again, selectively take down the canes that are not going to be, or I think aren't going to be producing this year. Gooseberries they literally just pop up. One day they're not there, next day they just pop up. Now these gooseberry bushes are all different varieties and different stages of, can you see that one there? So some of them will be a lot further on than the others. Having said that, just looking at them when I'm walking around now, they all seem to be putting on quite well, although I'm noticing quite a few of those nibbles. I wonder what that's off. What has got the cheek to stand on a spiky gooseberry bush and nibble it without falling off? That's rather impressive. And then kind of heading back around to where we've just come from, that's the fruit bed on the right there. This bed here, next to the one that I've put the stem broccoli in, has got a couple of surviving garlic, same as the ones in the end beds there. But these are actually our potatoes that went in super late. except this front row, which are the first earlies. They did get caught by the frost from a couple of weeks ago, but they've come on leaps and bounds since then. So you can see there's kind of 3 rows, and there's also a random tree lily that survived from a previous bed in there, so we'll just leave that in. But yeah, these aren't showing just yet, which I'm quite pleased about, because they will have got nipped from the frost. I'm fully expecting some of these to blacken from the hail that we had, but also from another frost that we had just this morning. So I'm not sure how quickly they'll blacken, but again, they should be absolutely fine. They'll just put on new growth, all being well. And the bed next to it is all broad beans. Right, we're doing this in between Stephen drilling, being a nuisance. It's not biting, or he can't hear me. So this bed, as I said, are the broad beans. These were grown in modules and then planted out, and there's actually calendula that's self-sown from last year along the end there, which I'm totally fine with. What I'm going to do is get these bits that aren't right along the edge and replant these in the bed that I've just shown you, just in case those seeds don't come up or the rabbits actually ended up completely kicking those seeds out. So these broad beans are doing really well. I have got some more broad beans in a different spot that was just kind of a backup crop, really. These are the onions that you might think, goodness me, that's far too late to be putting those in. I struggle with red onions every year because they just don't seem to grow very well. So my theory this year was put them in later and just use them as soon as they're ready. So I'm thinking that we're going to give that a try. If we don't, it's fine. We'll live and learn. And then I've got some bunching onions that I've just harvested the other day. I'm just leaving them on a clump of soil so that they're still getting the kind of the water from the soil, and we'll literally just pick off those as and when over the next week or so. They were in the bed, no, they were in this bed with these here, so there's still a row of them separating the first earlies from the main crops, and I'll get through those as well, but these were just in the way, so I needed using first. This bed's empty at the moment. We will be getting some outdoor tomatoes in here. Needs a weed, as you can see, but there's also the calendula. Again, that's calendula, that's a weed basically. So we'll be going through, taking the calendula out, replanting them. These are my spare emergency broad beans, just in case any of these got eaten off that pesky rabbit, but they'll just go to the birds if needs be. They won't get planted anywhere else. So this bed just needs a quick weed. Nothing happening with that one. And then the one next to it will all be for our squash, so nothing in there just yet. As I say, on previous years, I probably would have got them already in. Thankfully, I haven't this year. It has felt a very strange year for how cold the air's been, and the nights are still super cold as well. So yeah, as soon as we feel it's safe to, we'll get all of the squash out into this bed and the other bed as well. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to ignore the beds on either side, and we're going to have to ignore Stephen as well. Because I'm going to come to these. I have weeded these beds, which, if you can't tell, are for climbing beans, and I've dug this over just along the edge here because we're going to get some direct sown seeds in here. And I've also replanted some strawberries that were in the pathways. So if you turn around this bed here, I will talk to you about in a moment the strawberries in the pathways. So we're going to just basically, wherever we've got the ends of the rows, we're just going to put some strawberries in and just have a few extras, hopefully. Now, I was saying earlier about the beds that haven't had the compost. Can you see these beds, how low down they are? These were higher up last year. We've put topsoil on, and they've obviously shrunk. So this is in desperate need of extra compost this year. So this bed, I haven't had a chance to go through and dig over to get the seeds in just yet. That'll be hopefully this weekend. This was one of the other beds that got attacked off the rabbit when it first started over here. So thankfully no more activity on this end. But these beds basically look like this one a couple of weeks ago, or a few days ago, should I say. So essentially coming in and weeding them, it takes no time at all, especially for these bigger weeds. They come out and just leave a nice clean space. So it's where you've got tiny little weeds that you have to take out one by one, I find is the most time consuming. So we don't do perfection here. This is the reality of, you know, a bed that hasn't been weeded over the winter and is still waiting for its spring crop to go in. So this is on my list to do. Stephen's actually I tried and secured these canes. I'm pretty useless at that for whatever reason, so Stephen's going to come and do that at some point after I've got the weeds out of this, and we'll get those planted up this weekend as well. Different beans, as I say. I'll show you what we've got going on in there. Just to show you the difference in temperature, I'm actually starting to overheat walking around here. Came out in a winter coat and it's absolutely scorching now. So asparagus bed we're harvesting. I've actually got a basket full, not a basket full, that's total exaggeration, a few in a basket from this bed. Been harvesting from this all the time. It's absolutely fantastic asparagus. However, reality as well is there's quite a few weeds in there, so we've got to add that to the list, get those weeded. And this here is our complete jungle. So plan for this. We're actually doing a separate video, Smallholding video, which Stephen's going to go through in more detail. But the short version is we have managed to get a greenhouse, which our daughter Grace is really fond of doing her own flowers. All of this here is hers. And she's been asking for a greenhouse for ages, looking for a free one on Marketplace, you know, where somebody basically says, can you dismantle it yourself and we'll take it away. If you take it away, you can have it for free. So she's been looking for one, hasn't been successful in getting one. Anyway, we've finally been able to get one. So this bed that we've just put off and pretended didn't exist for so long is now going to need our attention. All of it needs the weeds taken out, basically. Stephen's then going to put foundations down. If he's using these, maybe or not, I'm going to put the greenhouse on there. So we will hopefully have a decent sized greenhouse that Grace can use here for all of her different flowers and things, which will be absolutely fantastic. So I'm hoping that means she'll give me the polytunnel back. Fat chance of that. And then this is comfrey. So every year that comes back with a vengeance. That's super good, just basically for speeding up decomposition in the compost bays, but also for making your own fertiliser with, just adding it to water. So this is the variety that doesn't, is it called Bocking 14, that doesn't seed? Otherwise, I think if you get the other variety, it seeds itself everywhere. And trust me, this is hard enough to keep under control. This has just come from nowhere. So we'll give this a good chop back and then it'll just sprout up again really quickly. And then we've got honeyberries, which is basically another plant that just sort of lives here rent-free, because it ends up giving the berries, but then I'm sure it's the blackbirds that get them every year because we just don't get a harvest off it. Can't actually see any fruits on here yet. But they are in tubs from when we did the move. So we have been talking about whether we put them in the ground here, because I believe they need alkaline soil. So yeah, we're going to put those in the ground possibly. So that bed, disaster zone, but we have a plan, which is better. And then this bed here will be featuring in our other video, as I say, that we're running in parallel, because this bed is what Stephen's working on at the moment. Well, after he's finished the shed, which we'll take a look at in a sec. And essentially we're going to take all of this out, he's going to repair it, and then he's going to fill it all back in again using what's in the compost bay and anything else we can get our hands on. But as I say, doing all that in a different video. So that's just what it's looking like today. Hopefully by the end of today we'll have that job done. And then the other thing, can you see? I mean, you can see, because it's just, you couldn't not see the difference. This was what this side looked like before Stephen took those thistles out. So we're going to get in to the other half of this bed, which honestly, what on earth, why are there so many thistles? I don't know. But you can see, even after he's been in here and took these out, they're starting to come back. So the idea is we have got strawberries in the pathway, as I said. We've been putting those in different beds. Going to take these out of here and put them in this bed as well, but probably see what the back looks like first and then split them between the two, because goodness me, staying on top of this bed, if we can't do it this year, we've decided we're probably going to scrap it and start again, because it takes strawberries out and then just, don't know, put compost out, just put cardboard down or something, because we just cannot win with these thistles every year. It's absolutely crazy. Getting to them sooner, it's, you know, that's the obvious answer, but we just don't seem to be able to for whatever reason. And that's just the honest truth. You know, there's a lot needs doing in a certain order, and we don't always get to it in the order that it needs to be gotten to, but so be it. There's worse things in life, isn't there? This year though, we have been trying to do things as and when it's needed, so we probably need to work on that a little bit better. This bed has still got last year's crops in it, so for this year, by intention, fantastic, can continue harvesting the chard and the brassicas, and that's just, they've been a fantastic crop to have. As I say, polytunnels all over, turned over to Grace at the moment. She's got all kinds of different animal food in there, just sort of lettuce and things like that for the goats, but also different flowers, because she is in the middle of getting the other flower bed ready that we've just created, so hopefully that's going to look fantastic in the height of summer. And then we've also got the greenhouse, which I'm looking at the thermometer, is 34 degrees in there. So what I need to do is actually go and take the front off the propagator, because things are going to be suffering massively if I don't do that. And we don't want to be losing anything. Quick look in here before I completely melt. There's a mix of things grown from seed ourselves in here, and also that we've purchased from our local nursery that we absolutely love and want to support every year. So more than happy to do that. You'll see there's some super late from seed outdoor girl tomatoes in there, which was on purpose. Again, purposely did some things later this year because of just again being so cold and how things have grown in previous years. We think that that's going to be the best way forward. We've got some Greek gigantes that were from our saved seed last year. Shop bought peppers, more Greek gigantes. These are all the squash that we've got in. So they're just starting to come through with this heat that is absolutely intense, I have to say. I am boiling stood here. For whatever reason, the table king and the strawberry crown haven't come through, but the cucumbers have. So yeah, that's a bit of a strange one, actually, what's happening there. I've also got the baked potato squash as well, of course, some sweet corn that we brought in, and these are borlotti climbing beans that got sown on, I'm just looking at the tag, 26th of April. Oh my goodness, it is so hot in here, so let's head out. The blueberry bushes that you might have seen us tidying up and moving around the other week are absolutely thriving, except this one, which is a little bit scratty, but still has some leaves on, so just looks like it could do with a bit of a water, reaching a lot higher than the others. Different varieties to come at different times of the year, this one being the earliest. So if I just step out of the shadow, you can see they're already coming on absolutely fantastically. So clearly this one will be the first one. And I've actually got some baby ones over here. Oh my goodness, it's so warm in here. Whew. Some baby ones from the nursery that I mentioned. They were selling them on. I thought, you know what, you can never have enough blueberries, can you? So hopefully they will be this size in no time. And then just out here, we've got some crops that are from seed. So there's kohlrabi and there's different cauliflowers. And actually I forgot there's these broad beans as well, which are the other emergency ones. So maybe we will find somewhere for them. Maybe we can put them in the distance where those bean beds are. I'll have a think. And the tree lilies, they're starting to come through fantastically. They look like they've been, I don't know if there's any lily beetles or whatever they're called on there, but they look like they've been attacked a little bit. But yeah, they're looking really, really nice all the same. Last of the wild garlic is dying back, so I'll make sure I get all of the flowers off before you can see they're starting to turn to seed, and we don't want that because that's how we end up with all of this problem down here. To be fair, the wild garlic salt that I made from this is absolutely delicious. A few bits and pieces in this bed. The dandelion that I showed you the other day obviously needs taking out, so when this wild garlic dies back, this yarrow and the chives will I'm going to take that chive leaf off, flower even, I don't want them doing that yet. They're struggling basically because of how packed this bed is, so that definitely needs a bit of maintenance. Same for these beds here, the very last of the leeks, which I've said to you before, they just seem to be reproducing on their own. Fantastic crop. Strawberries in the front of this bed, and then all of these just need weeding now basically. So it looks like a big job, but honestly the weeds, as I say, they're coming out quite well. I think it's helping with all of the water that we have had over the last few days, couple of weeks or whatever it's been. So when you're pulling something out, it's not too dry or stuck in the ground. So quite a bit of work, but all welcome. It'll all be worth it in the end. This trough here has actually got some fantastic sage in it, some tarragon that's obviously further on than the one I've just shown you in the corner, and oregano, so this needs a bit of a tidy up. I can get on with that, because I've said that before, it's just a quick job and then I haven't got to it, so I can do that first actually, where I'm thinking about which one I'm going to attack next. Lobelia in the corner was last year's, hoping to get some more for this year because that worked really well. It looks super pretty with having the lobelia trailing over the sides and all of the blue. Other job, going to quickly get this runway of grass, whatever you want to call it, that needs to be mown, but that's not what we're about on this video. We're just kind of having a walk around and showing you what's going on in the vegetable garden in May, but a really quick show of what Stephen's doing, because it is garden related. he is in here finally being able to get these shelves put in. making a mess. Finally getting these shelves put in because we did have some robins that had made a nest in there. The nest's actually here now that we've been able to take it out because they have fledged, thankfully, because we were literally stood around waiting for them to leave. So he's putting the shelves in for the shed makeover. So at the moment everything's all over the place, of course, whilst he does this. So very soon we'll be able to show you what that looks like. I think he's going into a bit more detail on the smallholding video that I mentioned, but for now that's what that's looking like. So he's in and out getting on with that, and I can't actually get to all of my seeds at the minute because they're in there just with everything else. So we're going to have a good shed sort out, and then I can get those seeds and get them directly sown. So fingers crossed for that. But for now I'm going to go through all of those seeds on a different video. I think for now I actually need to start getting on with some of the work instead. So thank you very much for being with me for a wander around the garden, see how things are looking in this very strange year of 2026, because as I say, we started off hot but now it's been freezing. It's absolutely boiling again now. So if you want to see how the plant's getting on and how the rest of the year goes for the growing season, of how we're going to be eating from the garden, then please come back for the gardening videos or take a look at the other small holding videos. I'm going to stop talking now and say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later.